Hello and welcome to RC Scale Studios. My name's Kenny, and this video right here is going to be mostly on the differentials, a little bit on the motors and the motor mounts. So I'm just about ready to put this car together here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to be putting together, parts I'm using, some goodies like that, some parts I made, some parts I modified, and all that. Then I'll go ahead and put it together, show you what that looks like, and we'll try to get these videos going like that. I want to get this car together. The parachute's supposed to be coming tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. And so I'm probably going to be up most of the night trying to put this car together. I'll be having some fun. I'll be trying to make some videos and keep you guys posted on what I got going here. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're liking some of these videos. They're probably not the best in the world, but I think I'm better at making models than I am videos. Anyways, we'll get started with a few little things here. Okay, get you some pictures going here, or video. Just real quick on the diffs, we're just using the metal cases and the metal diff carriers from Hot Racing. Just trying to get things a little stronger. Ceramic bearings are going in, and that's across the whole car. So we got those in. This one's all ready to go inside the case, so I'll get that put in. And our coupler, which is super cool. You might have caught it in the other video. This is a coupler off of a helicopter, a vintage helicopter, which is kind of needed. The shaft on both ends of this, or the hole on both ends of this, is 5 millimeters, so that matches the motor and the shaft coming out of the differential there. So got lucky there, and it's cool. It's well balanced. It's made of steel. It's an old part, but it's new, and I had two of them, believe it or not. So that was really neat. That worked out great. Let's see, also with the motor mounts here, this is a little bit unusual. These are motor mounts. They're made by HPI. They're old parts. They called it old new stock, and they were actually just hanging on the wall at the hobby store. I seen them hanging there. I was like, wow. And they only had two of them too, and that's all I needed. And I thought, boy, those will look really cool or work well for my application. And I told the guy what I was doing over there at Pegasus Hobbies. That's where I got these two motor mounts here. And he actually marked them down a couple bucks for me to boot. So I ended up paying $11.99 each. HPI Racing. There's the motor mount number. But I don't think they even make this anymore. Flux torque brushless motor. Anyways, they work really great for this. They have some holes in the top here and some in the side to mount fans, so you can put a fan on the side and the top. These two screws right here, you just take those out, and these two fold over and your motor comes out. It's a really nice little motor mount, and the price couldn't go wrong. Anyway, so that worked out really neat. I'm kind of excited to tell you some of these numbers here on these motors and things, so maybe I'll do that real quick. And it's kind of interesting. The motors are made by TP, and they're special wind for kill mode RC. The guy over there is a real cool guy. I was talking to him on the phone, and a lot of guys are running these motors and his cap packs. I have his cap packs over here also that I installed on my speed controls. You might have caught that video. Those turned out really sweet. Super excited to try these. Look what I'm doing with your motors, Leo. Pretty cool, huh? Anyways, I'll be talking to you soon, I hope, about some settings on the speed controls too. Hope it's going good. Anyways, that's Leo over there, Kill Mode RC. He's the one that got these motors special wound. He's selling these things, and really nice motors, really big. I think these things are rated at 15,000 watts. That's 12 horsepower. And with the 2900 kV and a 6S battery pack, these things right here are going to be turning about 62,000 RPM if you max them out. If you just back down a little bit, and we'll just say we're going to turn our motors at 60,000 RPM, and we're going directly to our differentials. That means we're going to turn this differential here in the front at 60,000 RPM. Hopefully it can handle that. But we're going to find out. So anyways, we're 60,000 here going into the diff. The diff gears from the diff out to your wheels out here is about 2.5 to 1. So even if you called it 3 to 1 to do easy math, we'll just say the tire, you know, the motor has to turn 3 times for once for the tire, 3 to 1. It's not even that much, so the car would actually go faster if you did the right numbers. But at 3 to 1, you figure now out here at the wheel, if we're 60,000 RPM and it's 3 to 1 out here, we're ending up with 20,000 RPM out here at the wheel. So you can imagine spinning the wheel, 20,000 RPM, revolutions per minute. I love that. 20,000 times in 1 minute. That's really moving. So if you take this tire here and you do what I think they're calling it the rollout, and you put a mark on it and you roll it one time all the way around, it comes out to 13 inches for this wheel, which is the wheels I will be using to start out with. And yes, this is Traxxas going on an Arma, and it's the X01 wheel and tire. And I don't know if you noticed this, if you caught that in the video. If you do a lot of RC cars and things, you might have said, hey, why does he got that Traxxas part on the Arma car? Reason is these are the tires and wheels I want to run, and I'll go into this more later. Anyways, back to our math here. So if this rolls out 13 inches in one revolution, we're just going to call it 12 inches. That's 1 foot. That makes the math really easy, and it actually will be going farther. So at 1 foot, you figure in 1 minute, this can go 20,000 feet, because I can turn it 20,000 times in 1 minute. That's 20,000 feet in 1 minute. So if you want to try to get this to see how fast it'll go per hour, there's 60 minutes in an hour. So we're going to go ahead and say times 60. Okay. So if you go in that route there, then you're looking at that the car will travel about 4 miles. Okay. And that's really moving. So 4 miles, you go ahead and you times that by your 60, and you're coming out around 240 miles an hour. So if you do the numbers on this thing and what we're running with a 6S battery and these wheels and tires, the car should be able to go 240 miles an hour, and that's not even maxing out the motors. That's keeping them down at 60,000 RPM. They can go up to 62, and that's also cutting off 1 inch per revolution on the tire and 1/2 revolution on our gear ratio from the coupler to the wheel itself out here. So that's really moving. If you do the numbers entirely, it's real close to 300 miles an hour. If you do the numbers right down to the nitty gritty. So we're not trying for 300, but you never know. Someday, if they keep making the equipment better and better, you never know anymore. Anyways, we're having too much fun with this car, guys. Let me go ahead and get back to our diffs real quick and stop wasting time here. I know everybody's busy. So anyways, I'm going to get this stuff put back together here, get this whole back mounted. Now the only part I made for back here is a pad. This is a 5mm plastic pad I made out of actual skateboard pad that I chopped this thing up. This thing's going to go on here. I think it's like that. And this sits on that pad. And what that does is it gets it up so it's in line with the motor. Super important. It has to be in line with the motor. The reason I have to go through all this hassle is all the different heights in the chassis was forcing me to lift this up, and since I have to lift this up, I went ahead and went with this motor mount, which lifted it up another 2mm. Not a big deal. So basically the differential in the back and the differential in the front are raised up. Both of them are raised up in order to get everything in line, which is not a big deal. The only thing I really had to do to accommodate that also is these right here, these guys, these set screws here. These go down and they can lower your car for you. It raises up your A-arm, which in turn lowers the car. These guys go down and they hit right down here on the frame or chassis, what do you want to call it, like that, and that's your adjustment right there to raise this up and down. So we can still raise and lower our car. However, it's kind of working out really interesting here, or close for us, because by raising the differential up 5mm, it's kind of the same as lowering the chassis down 5mm. Same difference. And then if you take the tires that I'm going to run versus the stock tires, you can see the diameter, check that out, is about 5mm. So the tires I'm running, or going to run, are about 5mm larger. So in other words, what I'm ending up with here is stock height on the chassis once I put these on. So I went up 5mm, down 5mm. Chassis stays same level. This needs to be longer just so I can still adjust, and the front was the same. I don't know if you see down in there. It's hard to see in there. Anyways, the front is very similar to the back. So I think that kind of gets us through all of this, what I'm doing here. This was kind of a pain. It was a lot of work. Most of it caused by using this coupler instead of the other coupler that I showed you in the other video that was off of, I believe, a CNC machine, which is still, I think, a really neat coupler. I want to use that one day on something. So anyways, the pad's going to go in. When I stick this thing in here, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little tiny bit of gasket sealer here, or gasket maker. Very tiny, little bit. And a little right there, just to try to keep the dirt out, grease in. This will bolt on there. This couples up to there. We'll get it all put in. We'll get some grease put in it. And we'll get this all set up here, ready to go. The front one is pretty much done. Now, since we're in these differential areas, just real quick, I'll throw this on this video too, how important it is to get everything tight on the car, from one end all the way to the other. Everything needs to be snug. Nothing can be loose on it. It won't do what we want if we have loose parts. So if you look at this front, I can grab this thing and move this around. You can see me moving this car around. You don't see any play here. There's no play in any of this stuff at all. And what I did is I went through and got everything. I don't know if you've seen these things stock. These things rolled all over the place, back and forth, these guys. All I did was get some rubber grommets, get a couple in here and a couple down here. They're not tight. Everything's really free, super loose. Everything's not binding at all, but there's no play. So I got some rubber grommets in here, and what I did for those, if you go to like one of your hardware stores and stuff, there's all kinds of plumbing parts that you can get. This is an assortment of O-rings. It's got a whole bunch of different ones in there. Find some that are close to what you need. Take your cart down there to the hardware store, look in their plumbing section, and you will see all kinds of rubber gaskets and things that will fit your car. Some are pretty neat looking, actually, that have contours to them and all kinds of things. So, sorry if I'm all over with the camera there. Like I said, I think I'm better at building models than doing videos. But I'm trying to get some cool stuff through so you guys can see what's happening here. Let's see. So back to the front being tight. The other thing we did to snug this front end up is went ahead and got a plastic shim down in here to get this snug back and forth. There's no play there. Same thing in here. This still has play. This will come back out, and it's going to get some rubber tubing in there. And I have some cut for the back right now. These little guys right here, this rubber tubing, it's about 2 millimeters long. I just cut this little piece off. Anyways, that'll go inside here, so that won't be moving back and forth. That just that little tiny bit, you know, we don't even want that in there. It doesn't matter how small of an amount it is, we don't want it. Everything's snug. So we got some shims there. These shims here, what we did actually is the front of this pan, as it goes forwards, it angles upwards. So this differential was at the angle upwards, which was making things even more difficult for me. So the pad in the front is 5 millimeters on the back side of it, and it's 0 on the front. So it's actually a wedge. That way I only raised the back side of the front differential. Now, when I did that, right here, if you look here, that takes this piece here and leans it forwards. When you lean that forwards, it makes the steering even sharper on the car. The further back you lean this, the wider the turns will be with the car. So the last thing I want is sharper turning on a car I'm going to do speed runs on, right? So anyways, not a big deal there. Once again, kind of got lucky. What I did is, on the stock way this comes, these shims here are on this side. So all I did is take them out of here and I put them over here, and that took this and put it back to where it was before. Once again, I'm back to the stock here. I'm doing a really good job of keeping all the things here in their stock positions, I'm going to call it, where those aren't changing. And the reason I really want to try to keep that the same is because this car is doing so good at 150 miles an hour. That's why I wanted to do this build, because when I see a car go that straight and go that fast, I don't see why this car can't go another 50 miles an hour, no problem. It just handles that good. The cars that are set up good, I've seen one car doing like 157 miles an hour on his GPS. I think he's the one saying that he's the fastest, and hats off, buddy. That is fantastic. I love the video. The run is gorgeous. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. If I can, I'll try to, you know, send you towards that video. It's a great video. You've probably seen it. But the car just goes flying by, straight as an arrow, you know. And you see that, and you're thinking, if it can run that perfect at 150, like they say, it's the limitless. Well, dang, how fast is it going to go before it starts getting what I'm going to call speed wobbles or something, right? Something that it just can't handle. This car is going to be kind of heavy, which in one way might help me a little bit, because a little bit of weight is going to add to my stability slightly, and kind of keep it where it doesn't want to get loose as easy. When cars are really light, that's really good in many ways, but in somewhere you still have to have enough weight to be able to kind of like accommodate the speed that you're trying to go. So I'm thinking around 22 pounds, you know, it should be able to hang in there. I'm thinking for 200. We're going to find out. That's for sure. And we're trying not to miss anything on this car. I've gone through every single spec of it from one end to the other, making sure everything is going to bolt together perfectly snug. Anything I find along the way, I will stop and go ahead and button it up too. I think the next thing here probably is going to be get rid of this video now. Done here. Next video will be after I get this stuff put together here. And at that point, I think I'll go into details on these side rails and these front plastic gizmo things here, and the aerodynamics of this car, and what I think the air is doing with it, and what's going to help us and what might not help us. But I'll show you how we're going to try to get this thing set up. So we'll be talking about some aerodynamics and things. At some point we're going to go ahead and get this fan set up too, and then maybe some of the things that I'm assuming this air is doing might be pretty close, and then we might be able to fine tune it with you know, being able to see where this air is going. Just for instance, if the air is coming in here, you know, can we do something better? Can we deflect it a little bit? Or if it's going to be in there no matter what, can we use it to our benefit? So you don't want to leave anything untouched. You just want to use everything to your benefit. And air is a humongous thing, ongoing fast. I'm sure you guys all know that. And if you can get that stuff dialed in, I'll tell you, that's what's going to make it stay on the ground. That's what's going to make it go fast. So the power's there. I don't think there's a problem with any of the power. We got plenty of that. And but along with the power, you need a stable car that's going to be able to go straight for you and stay on that ground. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll get some more videos made as I'm putting this thing together. And like I said, I'm going to stay on this build. I just can't wait to get this thing on the track and start doing some test runs real quick, and then go ahead and just see what we can start getting with it. So anyways, see you at the track.